Real quick, I want to do a fair use. Yeah, so this is USA Today. It says nursing is no longer considered a professional degree. What changed? Right? Skip down here. It says questions and concerns are being raised by graduates and students and working professionals alike following the report that President Donald Trump's administration is reframing what degrees are considered professional. So I want to give all praises and all honor and all glory unto Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, Rawchaa QaDash. I'd like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, shalom, shalom to the elect, to the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom to you sisters, you Achwathium, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Aram Yahawah with the lesson. So yeah, as it to pick back up, yeah, basically the Trump administration, this is administration, President Trump's administration is reframing, right, which means they're basically reconstructing it, right, rebuilding, reframing it, what degrees are considered professional, shifting what programs could be eligible for new student loan limits under the administration's big beautiful bill, right? The shakeup has caused confusion for graduate and nursing students, right? Especially with some now unsure about what the future of their educational programs or student loan restrictions might look like under the administration's change, with a current list and definition of professional degrees used by the administration, omitting some professionals like nursing. So like, yeah, here's what is now about. Here is what to know about what programs are listed and what it could mean for students. It says what is a professional degree? Question mark. It says the confusion and controversy stems from a 1965 federal law which defines a professional degree as one that signifies both completion of the academic requirements. So you got to complete the academic required for beginning practice in a given profession, and a level of professional skills beyond that normally requires for a bachelor's degree. Oh, okay. So you gotta be at a higher level than a bachelor's degree, because maybe that's what nursing is. It's more like getting like a bachelor's degree, but it's saying you got to be at a higher level than a bachelor's degree. Yeah, because this is AI overview, and I asked it says yes, a bachelor of science in nursing, a BSN, right, is a bachelor degree program. So most nurses already have a bachelor's degree. So I don't know if that's what they're saying. You need to have a higher level than a bachelor's degree. Maybe that's what it's saying. It says, and it is the level of education required nurses who want comprehensive training, right? Comprehensive training, earning a BSN in a 4-year undergrad program that prepares you for a wide range of nursing roles. Blase. Skip down what it says. But I guess you can earn. It says oh yeah. Skip down this. It says well, an associate degree can also lead to licensure. A BSN is often the preferred entry-level degree for many hospitals and is a prerequisite for advanced nursing degrees, right? So you got to start somewhere, right? And I guess you ain't good enough. But then you got student loans out for this type of thing. Yeah, so this is Isaiah chapter 29, verse 15. Woe, which means judgment, weeping and gnashing of teeth, unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel, right? Because the Lord is ultimately going to give you the day of judgment, right? Whether you get in the bunkers and hide away for a moment, and then you get your judgment via Obadiah 1:18 later, or you're here in the shores of America and you're just you don't have that level of so-called clearance and this and this and that and the level, and you get taken out by the the ICBMs and become part of that lake of fire on this side, right? Because you think you're part of the council, the Congress and the administration and the so-called lawmakers and this and that, but a lot of you're not going to be you're not going to be delivered on this. You're going to taste the second death, right? And then of course those who are part of Esau, they will get Obadiah 1:18. So there's no escaping the Lord's judgment. Though you try to hide your counsel, right? Your decisions, the things that you have made, the things that you have done, the atrocities that you have done to the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian. Though you're trying to change the books and this and that. Though you steal money and now you want to redefine what's professional and what's not, so you can hide the fact that you're stealing money. You can hide the fact that this system is a unjust system, right? To make people pay for student loans and this and that, for a level of a degree, and then it's like it's criminal, because first of all, you tax people for everything that they do. You take the money before they can even see it. So you tax them, and then you're charging them to go to school. So then you're taking money out of them for this school, whatever. And then everything that you buy after that is taxed. You buy a car, you get a tax on the car. You buy a house, there's a tax for the house. Then there's a yearly tax that you have to pay for the house. So you technically never really actually own the house. Even if you pay it off, you still have to pay this land tax pretty much forever, right? And if you ever miss until the point that your land tax is so expensive you can never pay it back, some rich, wealthy person come in, pay off the land tax, and move you out the house that you spent 30 years to pay off, which now they want to move it from 30 years to a 50-year mortgage, right? And mortgage actually means death. So, so basically the system is unjust. Now you want to move the goalposts again to say what is professional and what's not, right? Yeah. Yeah, but they hide their counsel from, try to hide their counsel from, hide their counsel from Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, which is what you try to do. But, the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times more brighter than the sun, right? The Lord sees everything, right? The Lord's spirit is in everything. He can see it through you. He can hear the words that you say when you speak it, as soon as you speak it, right? That's where judgment comes in, right? The Lord said every idle word. Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Yeah, so this is Matthew chapter 12, verse 36. But I say unto you, right, KJV, that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give an account of in the day of judgment. NET says, I tell you that on the day of judgment, people will give an account for every worthless word they speak, right? So you can't hide your counsel from the Lord. And it says, and their works are in the dark, and they say, who seeth us and knoweth us, right? And the Lord knows you, and the Lord sees you, right? It says, surely you're turning of things upside down, right? You're changing what's considered professional and what's not, and all these different things. Yeah, you're turning things upside down. Shall be esteemed as the potter's clay, because you're the one in rulership right now, so it's most likely it's going to stick, and people are going to have to live with it, right? But that doesn't change that there's going to be a judgment behind the things that you have done, the harming that you have done to people, right? The oppression, the vexing of people, man, right? And it says, for for shall the work say of him that made it, he made me not, right? So you can't say that the Lord didn't make you, and the Lord has no business judging you, right? Because the Lord created you. He created everything, right? The Lord is he's the creator, man. He's the judge. He's the father of spirits, right? He can judge you however he wants to. So therefore, he wants to utilize his son, Yahawashi, who died for his people, for their sins, to come back and judge the quick and the dead, right? We can say, he made me not, you know what I'm saying? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, he had no understanding? Because you say the Lord don't understand anything. Well, he created it. He created you. He created you to be a certain way, right? Yeah, that reminded me of this right here. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 13 says, consider the work of power, Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, QaDash, for who can make that straight which he, Yahawah, through his only begotten son, have made crooked, right? So the Lord made Esau crooked, and no matter what he's doing, it's always for a unjust mean. They're gonna make the poor and the rich richer. That's it, right? At the end of the day, that's all it is, And this place, America, no matter what they're doing, because this is all like some type of thing to rip apart, to tear down the foundations, you know what I mean, so to speak, right? The fabric, so that way people can't afford, and then they have to bow down to the system, right? Because then certain incomes won't have enough money, or whatever, so they can force you to trust in a system, to make more people poor, basically, at the end of the day. Yeah, you know. So it says in the day of prosperity, right? Because that's what America was doing good. It was flourishing, doing all these great things, which that's what they're saying. They want to make America great again, and that was under them being able to have slaves, servants. You know what I mean? So they want to push it back to that. But this time, they don't care if it's even their own Edomite counterparts, their own Edomite constituents, right? So, that's how you make America great. You have slaves, you know, and they will own nothing and then be happy, because that's basically how they had Jake, you know. The day that they was able to kind of have some type of joy or happiness will be these holidays, They said they would when you look up on Thanksgiving, they would have these um like a talent show type thing, and and make the slaves sing and dance and have a talent show, and then Jake liked to perform, you know what I mean, and they were performing and doing all these different things, and then also it was a time where they would sell the slaves for like a discount price, which is where you get Black Friday from, because and this is just the same old things that they're doing all over again. It's just they're doing it in a different way. They're gonna sell you all for cheap. They're gonna Black Friday the nursing business, right, so to speak. And now people, if now it's not considered professional, they don't have to pay you a certain amount, even though it's a very demanding position to be a nurse, right? No matter what level of nurse you are, it's pretty demanding. And people need nurses. That's a critical. What was they doing? Doing the CV-19 essential jobs. So from one moment they were under Trump 45, they were essential jobs and they were heroes. They were considered heroes, but under Trump 47, then they're not even considered a profession now, right? So it says in the day of prosperity, be joyful, right? But in the day of adversity, which that's what their America is going through, and is it about to really feel the effects of adversity on every side, even these elites, right? The president, yeah, because that's what the Lord said. They're going to be in straits. They're going to be in trouble. They're going to be in distressful situations, right? It's not going to be good. It's a place of difficultness. That's what you're going to be. Because woe to them that try to hide the counsel to the Lord. The Lord's going to judge you for all those things, right? Because what adversity, but in the day of adversity, consider the power Yahawah BaHaSham Yahawashi also have set one over the other, right? So the Lord is the one who he maketh the rich, and the Lord maketh poor, right? It says one set one over against the other, to the end that men should find nothing after him, right? And you know that at the end of the day, there's nothing to be sought after or worshipped or really cared about but the Most High, Yahawah BaHaSham Yahawashi. But people find their way into being, uh, gluttonous and covetous and was it adultery and abusers of themselves with mankind, and or these different outlets trying trying to fill a void, right? But the only void you actually have is the Most High, man. Right? Yeah, so this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 11, verse 21. Marvel not at the works of sinners, right? Because, hey, a sinner, yeah, they're going to just try to scam you, do all sorts of things. They're going to, of course, they're in power, so they're giving you all these presidential promises, and they're going to do this, and they're going to make America great. They're going to make this, then they're going to do things so great, so beautiful. You know what I'm saying? We're going to call it the Golden Dome. It's going to be so great. You're going to make money hand over fist. But say he's the one spending the money, right? He spent the tariff money, right? And abide, trust in the outer one, Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, QaDash, power, and abide in thy labor, right? So just keep working, do what you got to do. I mean, that's all you could do, For it is an easy thing in the sight of the outer one, Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, QaDash, power, on the sudden to make a poor man rich. See, and the Lord can make a poor man rich, but He can make a rich man poor, right? The blessing of the outer one, Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, QaDash, power, is in the reward of the godly. See, and you need to be righteous, man. And the Lord, and right now, in this time, in this place right now, where the wicked is ruling, the godly is not going to be wealthy like that. Like you may have some brothers be pretty good or whatever, have some, but it's going to be few and far in between, right? But that's why you being godly as a brother, you're going to be, giving brothers alms, helping out other brothers, that's that's like the burden that the Lord gave you, which ain't a burden, right? You have that extra thing, you help out brothers, you do this, you do that, you know what I mean? Right? And sometimes it ain't got to be much of anything. You just, you got extra money. You just feed brothers. Hey, brother, let's go out to eat. I got you. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? And trust me, that goes a long way. Right? It says, and suddenly He maketh his blessing flourish. Right? And that's the time that we're living in, man. The Lord is about to make the ultimate blessing flourish. Right? And that's when this devil goes down. Right? And righteousness shines, Right, I like that. Let me go in and get that. I wasn't going to read that, but man, say not, what profit is there of my service? Right, you want to be putting forth your body as a living sacrifice. You want to be able to sit back and read the scriptures, in your leisure time, and read and elevate yourself to know the power, to know Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi. You can't say what is a profit for me to serve the Most High, Or what profit is it for me to go to work? Well, the Lord said a man must work. You work and do your thing. You let the wicked, they're not working, and then they're robbing everybody, and then they turn around and look at you and tell you to pull yourself up out of your bootstrap. But that's okay, because they're going to serve a rigorous chattel slavery in the time to come in the kingdom, man. The Lord said, make it double unto her, as she has done, and this place has done atrocities to people, man. Even to the point you are surely have turned things upside down, man. Right? Or in order to push your ovos nodos seclorium, to push in your new war order, yeah, right? So it says, say not, what profit is there of my service, and what good thing shall I have after, right? Hey, we're looking for eternal life, man. You're going to have a good thing. The Lord is a rewarder, right? Yeah, so this is Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6. But without faith, it is impossible to please Him. For, right, who's Him? The Most High, Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi. Who you want to please? You want to kiss the Son, which is Yahawashi, believe in Yahawashi, right? Which that's how you get back to the Father, right? Right? You want to have the faith of Yahawashi and keep the law, statutes, commandments to the best of your ability. You want to kiss the Son unless He be angry, and that's it, man. Simplicity in Yahawashi, man. Right? all these different things that people are doing, going above and beyond the means that the Lord even asks you to do. It's ridiculous. Like a woman, man, when she's out there trying to teach and she's trying to do these different things, she's trying to sort like the Lord didn't even ask you to do that. Like the things that the woman is to dress like a woman, be a woman, right? Adorn yourself in modest apparel, keep your mouth shut, keep your legs shut, have one husband, teach the younger women to love their husband and love their children. That is it. That's as far as the Lord asks you to do. But what profit is it for me to just be this mother and serve my children and my husband? What profit in what? But the Lord said there was a profit in that. See, now you're starting to see, right? Hey, whew, man, it is what it is, though, right? But it's impossible. Let's get back to it. It's just without faith, it is impossible to please Him, which is Yahawah BaHaSham Yahawashi. For he that cometh to the power Yahawah BaHaSham Yahawashi must believe that He is, right? Which that's actually the name of the Lord, right? He is Yahawah. He is, right? Or He exists, right? That's actually how that's exactly what that would be the name of the Lord, Yahawah. He is or exist. He exists, Yahawah, right? And that He is, right, Yahawah, a rewarder of them that diligently seek Him, right? Through His only begotten Son. You have to seek Yahawah. He is through His Son, Yahawashi, right? Yeah. So this is our 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 7. Yahawah BaHaSham Yahawashi maketh poor and maketh rich. He bringeth up low, bringeth the low. He bringeth low and lifteth up, right? He can bring you low, He can lift you up, right? He raises up the poor out of the dust and lift up the beggar from the dunghill, right? And that's you with all that credit, right? Credit means like you're a beggar, right? Because you have to get a loan, right? Once you get a loan, you're begging, right? At the end of the day, you're a beggar, right? And that's ultimately what that is. That's what a loan is. Student loan is it makes you a beggar. But the Lord said He could lift a beggar out of the dunghill, right? Those low conditions, to set them among the princes and to make them inherit the thrones of glory, which is talking about the elect. It's talking about Israelites, but you are the people. Well, that's for the kingdom. And the kingdom for the other people. Right now, we only talking about the elect. And we only talking about the Israelites, right? So the Israelites, you're the only one that has this ability on this side to well, Lord willing, get delivered, right? At the end of the day, right? Because this is only for the Israelites. And then it's the elect out of the nation of Israel, right? The elect out of the elect, right? Inherit thrones of grace and the pillars, right, which are your teachers, man, right? 7 pillars goes into the teachers that set up, that were set up, you're able to receive the knowledge, right, from the pillars, right? It says your teacher should not be removed into a corner anymore, right? And that's those prophets. The prophets are set up to be pillars. The apostles was set up to be pillars, right? Right, because that goes into Proverbs. She have her 7 pillars, right, dealing with the prophets or the apostles, basically, and she had mingled her wine, and the tables are set, right, and that's where we are. We're enjoying our meal in the presence of our enemy, right, on earth. So our teachers are not removed into a corner anymore. Pillars of the earth are Yahawahs, right? Those are men of the Lord. They're going to be set up. And He has set the world upon them, right? See? And they're going to be the judges of the earth, right? Starting with Yahawashi and, of course, the 144,000, right? They're going to be the ones who judge the world, starting with Yahawashi though. And he will keep the feet of his saints, right, which is dealing with the elect, and the wicked shall be silenced. That's America. Hey, this place is done. It's going to be put in silence in darkness, for by strength shall no man prevail, right? So this is the thing that they're trying to use, these mind manipulations and this and that, and setting up their military, and they think by strength that they're going to prevail. They're going to exhaust the people, force them to get the charagma, the karax, the grapho, stress everybody out with this thing, with this ability to be able to afford things. But you got to just trust in the Lord. Talking to you Israelites. Now, I mean, other nations you can read it. I mean, everybody actually has the Bible, but we're not going to say that the heathen can, unless you look like a heathen and your bloodline goes back to Israel, then you could, then you're a partaker of this glory, of this grace, right? And that's only if you're part of the elect at this point in time too, at that. But, this is the time that this place is done, and this is proof in the pudding that this place is finished. Yeah, so this Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 verse 1 says, remember now thy creator, which is Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi. This is for you so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, by the way. In the day of thy youth, while the evil day come not, right? Nor the years draw near. And see, we're here. We're at the door of the beginning of sorrows, man. Right? It's coming near. You can see, right? Bad times, evil days, meaning evil meaning a bad time, bad days, right? And now you said, nor the years draw near. So we've seen the years draw near from the time of CV19 to every year it's drawing closer and closer and closer, right? When thus shall say, I have no pleasure in them, and then that's going to be a time when you go, oh my God, I can't stand it. I'm tired of waking up every day and it's just miserable, right? Right? Because it's going to be a day where you're going to have no pleasure in the day when you wake up, right? Right? While the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, right? When you have this prosperity at the time, right? Like we read earlier about the prosperity, you have that prosperity but the Lord make it rich, He make it poor. The things are only set up for things to be a certain way for a time. And America's had their time of prosperity. They're trying to hold on and try to say, let's make America great again. Well, that ain't gonna happen, because it all has to come to an end. It all has to come to a place where it be darkened, right? Right? Every society, every empire collapsed at one point in time, right? And someone was speaking about most empires last 250 years, which America's coming to its 250 year, right? And this devil, like I said, they have that counsel and try to hide their counsel from the Lord, and they're trying to do all these different things, but everything they do, it actually causes them to fail more, right? Matter of fact, I'm gonna get that too real quick. It says while the sun and the moon, while the sun and the or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. Yeah. It's time of prosperity. When it rains, it comes, gives you your crops, this and that. Hey, man. But now when you have the dearth, right? That makes a drought, right, so to speak, and the rain's not returning, the clouds are not returning, or like the money's not there. America's not great, right? Because the only time you made it great is to have slaves, and that's what the elite are talking about doing, right? Even though the regular average Joe Schmo Edomite, they're trying to do it, but it's the same thing. They think about making them the police or the soldiers or whatever, and then not really give them anything either. But the thing that they would have is to be over the other people. So you have this, which makes sense for them to use the system of China to have the socialist system right? And though you have nothing, what you do have, like especially like a position, and so you're like a more of a hierarchy within society because of your social credit score. You can not have nothing but be happy because you're over the other peons, right? You know, so to speak. And that's how they do it. It says in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, saying that's really what's happening right now. They're trembling and they're making all sorts of rash decisions and decisions that they probably ought not make, but they believe that this is going to be a way to save their their reign, their rulership, right? Let's push the people in utter decay, make the people utterly poor, make them utterly dependent on us. They're going to have to get the charagma. They're going to have to get the micro C hip, which is the mark of the beast, by the way. And let's just redefine what it means to be professional. Like, of all the things you could be worried about, right? You know what I'm saying? Your administration got more on their plate than you could even imagine. All the madness that's going on in America, it's not even fit, bro. But that's the thing you're worried about. Like, all the things you could actually fix in America, right? But that's the thing you come up with, which show that they're trembling. They're just coming up with anything. That the keepers of the house shall tremble, and right, which goes into the word steward, unjust steward. They're just the keeper of the house. When you go into the word steward, it goes into the word like a landlord, right? They're just the keeper of the house. They're just the landlord, right? But they're ruling the world in not such a great manner. So that they know that the Lord is coming back. The Lord's showing himself through the different chariots. And definitely the greatest thing is the men of the Lord are standing upon their feet. Right? Prophecy is being presented and then it's being implemented, right? Being presented and then implemented, right? Because the Lord is pushing it forth. Right? So they're trembling. And the strong men, right, the military, shall bow themselves, and the grinders shall cease. The grinders cease because there are few. They are few. The grinders, the workers, right? And I believe they're saying right now that majority of Americans are not working, right? And the strong men are bowing themselves. They say, hey, there's no other way to actually have any money or anything. You know, because that's going to be the best place for you to do is join the military to make sure you can eat, make sure you have a decent life, so to speak. Right? They're gonna gut this country where no one has anything. So the only way to have some type of something is probably to join the military. You're gonna have to bow yourself to the system, right? Because the grinders cease, right? The working is ceasing because there's few jobs, and those that look out of the window be darkened. So those that look out, yeah, because that's what they were saying, man. We wonder what our future is going to be like concerning these loans, right? And it's darkening their future. It says and the doors shall be shut in the street, right? And then there's going to be a complete collapse in society, which this is what the elite are hoping for. When the sound of the grinding is low, right? While it's already low, one day it's just gonna cease, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Yep. So all the grind and all the things gonna be just put at a halt. There's gonna be no job at all, right? And it's gonna have you. Hey, you're gonna have to, you know, what is this? Comply or die, right? Get down with the beast system or die, right? Yeah, so this is Isaiah chapter 19, verse 11. Surely the princes of Zon are fools, or the princes of Lone, right? No, I'm just joking, right? But I mean, that's what they're doing. They're giving out these loans and this and that, and saying, because they were gonna, I guess they were gonna set up the thing where they're gonna throw out and forgive the student loans, which that's what they should have did in the first place. You want to really truly help out Americans, you just throw them all out. No matter if it's a professional level or this and that, throw all the student loans out, man. They don't make no sense, right? It says, surely the princes of Zon are fools. The council, right? See, that's what they're doing. They have a BS council of the wise counselors of Pharaoh, right? And this is also spiritually known as Egypt. America, spiritually known as Egypt, is become brutish. See, he just came brutish. Hey, you know what? That ain't considered no professional no more. Throw that out. Ain't no professional no more, right? How say ye unto Pharaoh, I am the son of the wise, right? Yeah, because you have people that's supposed to be like your counsel. You know, now you're not supposed to have a counsel, a bunch of yes men. You're supposed to have true counselors, true people who supposed to be able to, they have different type of mathematicians and accountants and different people who know things about war and strategy, and then you want the best of the best in all those categories, right? People who knows the housing market, you know what I mean, and not just know it. They know things future wise, because this is how deep they study. They study the past, they study the present, they study the future in depth. But then here it is. You don't have enough sense to say, hey, look, let's leave that alone, because we have more issues to deal with than worried about if nursing is considered a profession or not. But surely they're turning of things upside down, but this is part of their counsel, right? And they're supposed to have someone around Trump to speak to him, to say something to him and be like, hey, bro, that's not a good idea. Or this is that. You know what I'm saying? But obviously, how can you say you're the son of a wise, of the wise, right? No, you're the son of fools, base men, right? The son of ancient kings. See, what happened? What happened to you? You're the king, and we was this and we was that. We ruled the world, and we have all these. Well, if we go back to your record, when you were the Greeks, you fumbled that. When you were the Romans, you fumbled that. Here you are, the second leg of Rome, the one with the deadly wound that was healed, right? Rome all over again, 2.0, and you're fumbling. So we know your track record. It means nothing, right? Where are they? Right? Question mark. Where are they? Where are thy wise men? Hey, where's the wise men of Teman? Where's your wise men at, man? You need to go get them, because things ain't looking so hot, man. They're looking out the window and they see darkness, man. They don't have a future. They wake up in the time hearing the birds in the morning when you should go to work, and there ain't gonna be any work, right? But that's what you want. You want to set it up for the universal basic income. You push everybody to get the the mark of the beast, right? The micro C hip, right? It says, where are the wise men? And let them tell thee now. Let them know what Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, Rawchaa, QaDash, Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, Rawchaa, QaDash of hosts have purposed upon Egypt, man, and that's to destroy this place, man. See, you're not gonna make America great, right? So this is Isaiah chapter 24, verse 1, right? And it says, the heading says, judgment on the earth, right? It's a destruction of the earth, but it's really judgment, because the Lord's not going to destroy the earth, right? The earth abides forever, so it's going to be a judgment on the earth, right? And this is a KJV. It says, behold, which means feast your eyes, look, pay attention. Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, right? See, because Esau has a way of turning things upside down, but the Lord uses Esau as a vessel to do those things, to turn things upside down, right? And scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof, right? NLT says, look, yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, QaDash is about to destroy the earth, which really judge the earth and going to destroy it, and make it a vast wasteland, which is talking about America. America's only going to be the land that becomes a vast wasteland, right? And of course, you got nukes, things hit in other strategic places in the world. And of course, the land of Israel will be taken out too, but it will be built back up. It's not going to be totally destroyed like America. It's not going to be, even America's not going to be destroyed. It's just going to be turned into a desert. I mean, that's not talking about destroying the earth, right? It's just going to, it's going to give it a, what do you call it? A land Sabbath, right? So to speak. The Lord's going to allow it to have a land Sabbath for a long time. It says he did that devastates like the surface, right, of the earth, right? See, not talking about destroying the earth. It's just going to be the surface part of the earth, and what the elements shall melt with fervent heat, right? Surface of the earth, and scattereth the people, right? The people are going to be turned back into the dust, right? They're going to melt, right? And there's a guy speaking about melting, which, matter of fact, I might have to read this on that, right? Well, you get that that thing, but NIV, NLT says priests, the laymen, servants, masters, right? People who think you're in Congress, because we know the elite, the super elite is going to make it. They're going to go into the not into the chariots, but they're going to go into space shuttles and bunkers and this and that, and they'll be there for a time until the elect come in and get them out of those bunkers. But a lot of you other people who's just consuls and congressmen and this and that, you're considered like masters, and you're gonna be destroyed, right? The mayors and all the way on down. It says and masters and maids and mistress, buyers and sellers, lenders and borrowers, bankers and debtors, none will be spared. See, and that's where we're coming. And we're coming to the time that the Lord's judging everything, everybody. Right? But he's using Esau to do it. Right? And it shall, because how many banks just went bankrupt? Right? This is how upside down the world is. That a bank is going bankrupt. Right? Casinos are going bankrupt. Right? And it shall be as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with his master, as with the maid, as with the mistress, as with the buyer, as with the seller, as with the lender, so with the borrower, as with the taker of usury, right? Yeah, the debtor, right? Right, the taker. I like that, because that's what. You're taking debt. The taker of usury, and it's a debt. You know what I mean? With the giver of usury, right? Yeah, the banker. Oh no, that's what I'm saying. The banker is the taker of usury, right? Yeah, the banker takes and then the debtor, the giver of usury, right? You're giving back, the payments on debt, right? Which goes into these student loans, right? But the Lord is using Esau to turn everything upside down. But really, it's really Yahawah turning things upside down, right? Yahawah BaHaSham, Yahawashi turning them upside down. Yeah, so this is Psalms 146:9 says, Yahawah BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham QaDash preserveth the stranger, which are talking about the Israelite strangers, right? The Lord's not saving actual natural Gentiles, right? Heathens, right? And they're going to be in a chariot, which that's not going to happen at all. The strangers are talking about Israelites, which at this point, we're all Israelite strangers, in this time period. But we've come back. So the Lord preserved us in America, Babylon the Great. To we seen our teachers; they're not removed into a corner anymore. We know about the charagma, the crocs, the grapho. That's the end game, man. The hour of temptation. That's that ultimate test, and that's what we're about to fall into, right? When there's no there's no future of what you think is a future, but there is a future according to the scriptures, because the Lord, He preserveth the stranger, He revealeth, He relieveth, right, the fatherless, man. He's going to give us relief, right? And that's what He's been doing through this truth. And we see the kingdom of heaven coming. So we need all these things to happen, right? And the widow, right, in which that still represents Israel, right? The so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, starting with the men, but also the women and children, right? Those who are set and ordained to be delivered, right? But the way of the wicked, He turneth upside down. See? And this really the Most High allowing Esau to turn everything upside down, man. Turn it all crazy, right? And people are going to be without. They're not going to have any, they're going to face this time of despair, without any hope, without any jobs, without any money. And then you got to eat. And then, of course, order has to come out of chaos, which that's what they're going to do. That's part of their counsel. But that's why I go back to Isaiah 19. He says someone should counsel you. Somebody should tell you what the Lord has purpose for this. But, he think if he does these things, it's going to benefit him. But I don't know. I don't know if you think if I beat the Lord to the punch, and I do it to myself, maybe I can control it. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's his logic, but it's not so much. The Lord controls everything, right? That's why the Lord said every idle word. You know what I'm saying? When you're going, He knows what you're doing. He knows what you're doing in your counsel, right? The Lord turned the thing, but the way of the wicked, He turned it upside down. So they're going to go through a time of straits. That's what the Lord said in Job. Like I said, Job 20. So they should be in straits. A mile, right? The hands of the wicked should be upon them, right? That's where you're going to have that. Order out of chaos, right? It says, Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi shall reign forever, right? He's going to rule forever. You ain't going to change these things, man. Through His only begotten Son, the Lord is going to allow His Son to rule over the world, the universe, and everything else. And King David's going to sit on the throne. The 144,000 are going to reign under him, right? The Israelites in itself is going to reign under that. And then the Israelites who come back through the reincarnation or the regeneration, they're going to live and they're going to inherit the kingdom through childbirth, and they're going to be birthed back into the kingdom, and they're going to receive a kingdom that's going to be forever, man. The promise of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, man, right? Even thy power, right? O Zion, right? See, and ain't nothing no one can do and change, and that's what they're doing. They're trying to offset prophecy, trying to do all these things, but you people are going to pay for these people trying to uphold and keep their kingdom, but it ain't going to work for them, Ultimately, everything is going to be done. You can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth. Everything they're doing is for the truth, right? Old Zion, right? Which means memorial, right? So the Lord's going to remember, hey, we need to be brought out of this condition, man. We're in a low place, man, right? They're going to force people, cause them to receive that mark, right? It's going to be mandatory, right? Like they did the CV19. First it was, hey, it's your choice and this and that. And then they went behind the scenes and told every business that they must implement, and then that way they could stand there and go, hey, we didn't have nothing to do with it. We said we were gonna force you, but you told every business, every school, if they didn't apply to these things, that they were going to be penalized or shut down. So they complied because they didn't want to be shut down or they didn't want to be penalized, right? And this is the same thing you're going to do all over again. And go behind the scene and you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to have this, got to have that, or you're going to be penalized, you're going to be shut down. So you got to comply to these different things. That everybody must have the biometrics and this and that and the digital ID and the digital coins and digital dollars, right? You got to have these things, right? Or you can't participate in society, right? It says, thy power, O Zion, unto all generations. See, I'm going to rule forever. That's when those regeneration. That's those children are going to come back and going to finally inherit. The 2/3 are going to inherit the kingdom of heaven, right? Praise ye Yahawah BaHaSham Yahawashi. Ain't going to be no heathen involved with that. So with all that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahawah BaHaSham Yahawashi BaHaSham Rawchaa QaDash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom. To you sisters, you yahawah, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence and a Bible ball, and Kwam Yasharallah.